Alright, so it's been about a week or two since the Battlefield 6 open beta has concluded. This was a 2-weekend long beta so that everybody could test out the new stuff that's been cooked up for Battlefield 6, which has been fairly anticipated from the trailers, but has even gained more traction now that people have gotten their hands on it. So much so that apparently it's been racking up to at least top 20, if not top 10 on Steam as of this moment. And it's pretty incredible to see the turnaround that 2042 has gotten because of this, because I'm downloading it right now, as you can apparently get a free battle pass so you can unlock stuff for BF6. But for the franchise in general, it's nice to see that they're getting their footing back, especially after controversy surrounding Battlefield 5 and 2042 as well. And not just that, but it's just so refreshing because I've been waiting for a decent enough milsim to come back. Not that 2042 was bad by any means now, but it was certainly mishandled by EA and DICE back in the day. But I think we're going to greener pastures now that 6 is on the horizon. We just have to wait a couple months now. With that, there have been a few things that I've been taking a note of mentally as I was playing the game. I have roughly 14 or 18 hours in the game, at least for the open beta, and I've had decent enough impressions, much so that I've considered pre-ordering the game before it arrives. But I wanted to see if I could condense things as evenly as possible so that I can express my thoughts and tell you, hey, do I advise this game or do I not? Like, do I recommend it? So let's get started with what felt good. Gun handling was pretty good all around. One would assume that there was a lack of recoil when it came to some of the weapons, and yes, some of them can feel like downright straight laser beams, but from what I understand, console is getting less recoil because of the way that controllers handle, and apart from that, the attachment system would help, but I'm gonna get into that one in a second. The sound design and the animations are all pretty good, if a little COD-like, but I'm not going to hark on that too much because this, again, feels like a breath of fresh air. Movement feels great. It looks like they're building off of Battlefield 5 instead of 2042, which is one of the few things that I have much maligned about it, because Battlefield 5 played very smooth. It played almost like you were a damn cloud right on top of the ground. Whereas 2042, it felt a little zippy and inconsistent at times, and it just felt rather robotic and stiff. It didn't feel right. With movement, they are going back to what made 5 great. You do feel a little fast, but other than that, they have certain things that come back, like the combat roll, which was in 5, added in 5 in the middle of its life cycle. And on top of that, there's some contextual actions that can be done as well, which is pretty neat. The attachment system with the whole points allocation thing, that was pretty cool to see. And it's also nice because certain attachments understandably have a higher point value as they are stronger, so you really have to min-max with that sort of stuff, which is interesting considering the gunsmith system that has started with Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2019. And along with that, the point system is not unfamiliar, as you have seen something similar with Black Ops 3 and Insurgency Sandstorm. Drag to Revive, which was originally a feature that was supposed to be in Battlefield 5, as shown in the reveal trailer, is finally here, which is really awesome because now it brings much more squad play into consideration, as we have the consideration of, hey, you can possibly have cover as you're dragging your friend in cover so you can give him a revive, and along with that, medics have 2 separate ways of reviving instead of just a straight one. So instead of just using the defib for instant revives, which is insanely satisfying to pull off, you can also choose to drag teammates into a revive, albeit a lot quicker than you would if you were a regular squad mate. Along with that, squad deathmatch is pretty cool, or at least decent as a concept. I don't know if a lot of people would like that if they're looking for a team deathmatch style mode, even though team deathmatch is technically a thing here. But I thought it was pretty fun because it's 4 small teams all fighting each other, and it prolongs the match naturally, and it's pretty nice. Now, let's get into the stuff that I thought was pretty questionable, if not needs outright fixes. That one visual glitch. Y'all know which one I'm talking about. It's the one where there's a point in the center of the screen and there's a bunch of bullshit that is flying around. That did happen. It did get mitigated a bit as the beta went on, but my god, is that so funny to watch. Even in the respawn camera, when you look at the previews of your teammates through their body cams, which is another great feature, by the way. I'm so glad that they have those. Still, that's one thing that can be a little annoying. That, and there's certain spots that are inconsistent to vault, if not mount on. because there are some walls that you can scale on top of, you can climb straight over them just fine, even if they're the same height, if not a little bit higher. But with other walls like in Cairo, it's pretty difficult to check out whenever you actually can vault over, and this has gotten me killed a decent amount of times as I played the beta. Another one which can be forgiven to a certain degree because it is the beta, but server and input lag as well as stutters. This could be seen, at least in the first weekend of the beta, as a consequence of an unexpected amount of traffic, which is understandable. That and, you know, internet connectivity, that might also be another factor, but that is something to consider. I did obtain a decent amount of input lag, and as well, there have been a few stutters. They were minor in the grand scheme of things, and they didn't impede me too much, but there were occasions where that extra bit of reaction time could have saved me. Along with that, that fucking shotgun that can be served as a second primary for the assault class, which, my god, the one-shot kill potential for that thing is insane. It tops the Model 10A Hunter from fucking Battlefield 1. And it's just utterly ridiculous because I get shot and the dude is barely a few pixels on my screen and he just insta-blicks me with around the fucking corner. It is so annoying. I understand if it's like 15 meters and maybe even 20 to a certain degree, especially if it's using slugs. But we're talking about fucking 30 meters away. Like, you can shout at the dude and he's already gunning you down. If this was with max attachments, I would understand. If this was with a long barrel with slugs, I would understand. But it's not. This is regular ass buckshot, base standard shotgun. If they can tweak it so that the shotgun is that effective with slugs, this would be a different conversation. But the reticle for that thing is insanely small, even without a choke, so they need to address that immediately. Along with that, there was this feature that was prominent, especially in 5 and 2042, where if you try to spot somebody that's on the ground waiting for a revive, especially support, you can tell them that you're on the way. That is too inconsistent for you to spot as well. Like, even if your reticle is right on top of them, right on top of the revive signal, it is not going to go off. It is not going to signal them at all, and it's just annoying because in 5, you can get us minor speed boosts for incoming revives, which would bridge the gap a lot quicker and possibly save them. Not just that, but there are not enough indicators to tell you that an incoming revive is going to happen if you're downed. There is the mechanic where if somebody is signaling for that, there's moving arrows right on their name tag, but that is way too subtle in the grand scheme of things for you to actually notice. If it was flashing or if there was an audio indicator to signal that, it would be fine. But they need to tweak that a little bit so that people know not to just immediately drop on the ground and just stay there. That, and I mentioned before, there's contextual movements, so you can mount your guns now, you can peek around corners and such, but you have to be right on top of the corner so that you can actually have that register, and that is pretty annoying if you're trying to stay in cover and all you're doing is just pointing your gun right on the wall. Regardless, you're safe, but that doesn't mean that it's not annoying, and utterly, I just hope they get that fixed before the beta. Some things that are neutral, at least in my eyes, though if it gets tweaked, it's kind of like whatever, but time to kill. Some people have described it as pretty fast, and I agree. The time to kill was pretty reminiscent of playing Modern Warfare 2 or even Modern Warfare 2019, and I think it could be a bit slower, unless you're using one-shot weapons, because of course. But in general, I thought it wasn't too much of a problem. If it was a bit longer, then it's totally fine, but otherwise, I thought it was okay. That and the points amount for certain attachments, that could be tweaked a little bit. Though I don't have any specific examples on top of my head, because some things make sense, like 50 points for a 200 round mag for your LMG, that made a decent amount of sense. But I do think that it might be a point of contention for some people, especially if they're not as high powered as some would expect. Weapon availability between classes, this is one that is probably gonna pierce everybody's nipples, but hear me out here. I think that regardless of which direction you take, it's okay at worst. Not to say that 2042 was a master at this kind of thing, though I do miss, again, closed weapons ever since Battlefield 4 and straight to 5, because I've played those types of games except for Hardline, and so I think it would be a pretty decent enough argument for both sides, but I'm gonna get that for later. That, and again, the animation work and speed were both very COD-like. I do appreciate the difference in the animation as you're sprinting with a weapon, especially if you're using a carbine or an assault rifle, but it just felt like I was playing a remix of Modern Warfare 2 at points, except for the destruction, which is absolutely incredible. A decent step up from 2042, but that might not be a high enough bar for some people. It just felt very weird because seeing footage of Battlefield 6 with the HUD on, I was scratching my head wondering if I'm watching a mod or something for COD, but then after seeing a bit further into the gameplay and saying, no, this is actually BF6, I was like, oh, okay. So that was a little confusing, but again, not that big of a deal. So some things that can be worked on for the full release, at least so that a lot of people can be a bit satisfied. Increased height of vaults and climbs, make it at least a half bit higher than the player model so that they can reach over walls. Because let's be honest, with the amount of ammo and immediate equipment that you're carrying, a lot of this shit should be impossible, especially the combat roles. But 2042 didn't do that kind of stuff to begin with, and 6 they're trying to rectify that, so I imagine that would have to get addressed, at least to a certain degree. The movement overall is fine otherwise. That, and nerf the fucking shotgun, please. Drop it to 15 meters if not 20. And again, if attachments make it equal in performance, that would make a lot of sense, because that'd be a lot more time that they'd have to do so that you can upgrade your actual fucking shotgun and it performs as well as it does now. Because if not, a lot of people are going to compare this to the 725 from Modern Warfare 2019, and we do not need a repeat of that again. That and a more generous radius on your screen for incoming revive, I think that should take priority for registration, even though that could be a little messy if an enemy is right there. Otherwise, I do think that spawning for revive should at least be fixed and addressed so that incoming revives can be a lot more readable. That and increased range for contextual actions, but just a smidge. It doesn't have to be fucking 5 meters for you to immediately zip on a corner. I think a meter would be enough, a meter or two, so that you can snap on if you need to, but it's just as easy to pull out of, because pulling out is fairly easy. You just gotta move a little bit to the sides or to back. So that's one thing that they have to add. And again, I put this in the neutral category, but I do think that for automatic weapons, the time to kill should be another 1 or 2 shots, maybe 3 for the LMGs, because LMGs again hold a lot of ammo, but at the same time their performance would be kind of questionable otherwise. And that way it does play a bit more like the other games, because again, TTK might be a little quick for some people. And the last thing that I need to put, and again, I know this was in the neutral category, but I'm going to put it here anyway, but closed weapon classes with one exception. So they have it set pretty well. I think that going back on the bonuses was pretty good, all things considered, when it came to having an open weapon system. So you have more benefits if you're using assault rifles as assault or LMGs as a medic and so on. I do think, however, that they should put carbines and battle rifles for everyone to use. I think that would be a decent enough thing that can be shared apart from sidearms, because sidearms have been shared across classes for a decent amount of time now. That's just a consideration for me. You're okay to disagree with that, and I think there's an argument for both sides, though a lot of people do want a more classic feel, and this would further entice them to feel like it's a classic Battlefield game with closed weapons. So yeah, this was a pretty fun couple of weekends. It was such a shame because I was doing the summer semester and I was catching up on projects and work over the weekends. I did get some time in, and thankfully the betas opened on Thursdays, I believe. So it gave me a decent amount of time to work with, but it was just a shame that there wasn't a third weekend, because otherwise I would have totally played the shit out of it. But otherwise, that was it. I needed a reason to be on the mic again. Not like I didn't have much of a reason to begin with, I did. But I also wanted to show some of the trash footage that I took over the course of the beta, so I guess I'll just leave this rolling. Thank you for listening to my rant, and hopefully I get to get my hands on the game soon enough for when it drops. I will get back on other stuff in the future, in the near future I should say, but for now, that's about it. Take care of yourselves, be safe out there, and I'll see you when I see you. Alright, so I feel like it's impossible to talk about Battlefield 6 without talking about the upcoming Call of Duty that's coming out this year, Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And I'm pretty sure a bunch of you can already see where this is going, but I feel like I need to spell it out for y'all right this minute. I don't give a shit about Black Ops 7. I don't. I have not cared about the Call of Duty series ever since Modern Warfare 2 came out back in 2022. And since then, we've had 3 consecutive games that have had a progressively declining reception according to the fan base of that. And it sucks because I was planning to get Modern Warfare 3 to really finish off the collection that I have here. But as it turns out, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because the cross-gen bundles for the discs do not fucking work anymore. You can pop that disc straight in there and it's not going to register, and you have to go through a whole hoop for customer support. Not just that, but every Call of Duty game as of right now, or at least damn near all of them, is pretty unsafe to play. So it really sucks. I really wanted to get back into it, at least with Black Ops 2, because I still have to finish that campaign. I want to get the season pass for the zombies. And I thought, I played some of the multiplayer. It was genuinely fun. But it turns out it's not even something that I should consider anymore. Not just that, but Activision's had a whole heap of shit come out for the past few years that is not even funny. Now, along with that, do I think that Battlefield 6 is going to top Black Ops 7? It's kind of up in the air. There's been a bit of questioning in regards to that, especially considering this is not the first time this has happened, obviously, but the most prominent case was when Battlefield 1 took over Infinite Warfare with critical reception, even though Infinite Warfare still made more sales than Battlefield 1. Now, again, I think that Battlefield 6 has a really good position that it's in right now. Because again, the open beta was fun. The open beta had the most amount of concurrent players on record for Steam, topping, at least when it comes to FPS games and especially against Call of Duty. And again, like 500,000 players is pretty nuts, especially when you consider this was only available for what, 2 weekends, which equaled to 8 consecutive, not 8 consecutive days, but 2 separate periods of 4 consecutive days. It was crazy. And I was lucky enough to enjoy the craziness with this sort of stuff. Not just that, but the open beta has gotten progressively better as time went on, which makes me all the more sad that again, a 3rd weekend didn't happen, or even a 4th. Now that being said, 2042 has got a small event right now with a free pass, and by the time you're watching this, it's too late to get the final challenge done for the 1st week. However, there are 7 consecutive days that are going on right now, or 7 consecutive weeks, where you can complete challenges to earn rewards, and some of them will be rewards for Battlefield 6 when it drops, which is really cool. And it also brings attention a recently maligned but somehow also reinvigorated game that frankly I haven't played too often because I was so tired of the fucking tank and helicopter spam. Not like that's not going to happen in BF6, but again, 2042 has a fair share of problems that I do not agree with. Now, there are a few things that I forgot to mention, but really the only thing that I miss from 2042 to Battlefield 6 is the plus system, but when you have this many attachments, it makes sense. So I'm not gonna bother dropping that back into the main line of the video because it's not really necessary. And 6 is trying to be its own thing. But will this sway the tides? We'll see. There are discussions of potentially Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 remastered coming out, even though I think World at War should be coming out remastered first. And yes, I know the World War II craze is far from being something that people have been asking for now, and it's pretty much dead in the water with the exception of Enlisted and Hell Let Loose. But I still think that there could be a bit of polishing up of those games, or at least picture-wise, because from what I hear, those games hold up. I do want to play those one day, so we'll see how that goes. Will there be some rug pull last second so that Activision can stay as the bestseller of the year or whatever? Will they be buying 3 million copies of their own just so that they can say that they got bigger numbers than BF6? I don't know. Will there be some corporate espionage or some shit? God really knows. But either way, I think BF6 is again in a good position. I do think it's going to be Black Ops 7 for when that drops, especially considering that I'm pretty sure BF6 is coming out before BO7 by a month or so. Not just that, but I've been wanting to get into a really chaotic milsim game for the longest time, or at least for the past couple of years. Of course, skipped out on Modern Warfare 3 because that is a $70 DLC with a free soundtrack. Vanguard and BO6 I didn't give a shit about. And on top of that, I've been occupied by other FPS games or just other shooters in general, like Ready or Not and Helldivers 2. So, oh, and also Straftat. But still, I think this is going to be a decent enough year. It's been a great year for gaming, honestly, because we finally ended the console wars with Helldivers 2 approaching Xbox, and a Gears of War, one of the Gears of War games coming out just yesterday as I'm recording this specific portion of the video. So it's honestly really nice. I hope that we can bridge the gap even more between PlayStation and Xbox, with them finally experiencing God of War and Infamous, and Xbox introducing Halo to us, I guess. But still, we'll see how the tide turns. We will see how things go. I will be probably pre-ordering fuck me. I'll probably be pre-ordering Battlefield 6, probably maybe next month. I've had some stuff go on, and frankly, I don't give myself the time for this stuff. But I am currently not in college, at least not at the moment. I've, again, had a summer semester going on, and because of a few things here and there, I'm just taking this fall semester to myself. Not to set any expectations, I just hope that I can do some more stuff on the side. I do want to finish the first year of Hitman World of Assassination, so I'll be doing Silent Assassin Suit only for Colorado and Hokkaido fairly soon. So keep that on the back of your heads if you're interested in watching me for some reason. And yeah, that's kind of about it. I definitely want to do more. I definitely want to post more, but I just got to set my mind to it. It should be a lot easier now, so there's barely any excuse now. But yeah, y'all take care of yourselves. Keep an eye out. Stay ahead of those Steam sales, and I'll see y'all around.